Hey, good evening, class. How are you today? I hope everything is well to your end. Now, I am Zella, your substitute teacher, and for today, I will be discussing to you the language development. Okay, so now let's proceed. We have here language development is a process starting early in human life when a person begins to acquire language by learning it as it is spoken and by mimicry. How what do you think, class, about this statement? Is this true or this is just a myth? No. For instance, this is true, right? Because a person or a baby doesn't know everything or anything at all. So us as parents, as an adult, we need to teach the children the language. That's just like we spoke to them and them mimic us, okay? So now, the children's language development moves from simple to complex. Infant starts without language, as I said earlier, yet by 4 months of age, babies can read lips and discriminate speech sounds. Okay, now let's proceed. So what's language? Okay. So language is the code that we learn to use in order to communicate ideas and express our wants and our needs. So it is also a system of communication consisting of words, sounds, and grammar, or the system of communication used by the people of a particular country or profession. So for example, English, we have French, we have the Hongo, we have Mandarin, we have the Latin, the Greek, and so on and so forth. According to the philosophy expressed in the myths and religions of many people, language is the source of human life and power. Do you remember, class, or have you ever read a story in the Bible wherein the people unite the people has one language and they unite to create a tall tower in order to reach or to beat God, diba? Like we were very familiar with that story. So language with one language we are really all powerful because we understand each other. We do not have this language barrier, so we can communicate well and we can express our ideas and also they can understand or they can really comprehend our ideas, right? So language is really the source of human life and power. So most everyone knows at least one language. Okay, for us, we know English, we also know uh, Tagalog, and we also know Bisaya. So other knows Ilonggo, Waray. They also know how to speak basic French, Mandarin, or and so on and so forth, right? Okay, now what is speech? So speech is the spoken form of language. So it is how we say sounds and words which includes articulation. This is how we make speech sounds using our mouth, lips, and the tongue. So that is articulation. We also have this voice. This is how we use our vocal folds and breath rather to make sounds. And also the fluency. This is the meat of our speech. Okay. Oh, for the next part, we have here the four distinct elements of language or to language. Okay. Excuse me, class. So we have here the phonology. This refers to the sound of a language. Okay, from the word itself, phonology. Okay. The semantics is the study of the words and their meaning. Okay. Please take note of this following terms because this would be very useful for the next discussions. Okay. The grammar refers to the rules used to describe the structure of a language, okay, which involves syntax or rules that specify how words are combined to form sentences. So we have also terms like wrong grammar, okay, that is wrong grammar itself, diba? So that is the correct term would be grammatically incorrect. Yeah, like that. So the pragmatics is the study of how people used to use language to communicate effectively. Okay, we have the four again: phonology, semantics, grammar, and the pragmatics. Okay, now Children must learn to hear the differences in speech sounds and how to produce them. They must learn the meaning of words and rules for combining them into sentences, and they must learn effective ways to talk with others. Okay? Now, we have here the phonemes. So this is the building blocks of knowledge, the unique sounds that can be joined to create words. Okay? Okay, so infants can distinguish. So this is like the sound of P in pin, pet, and pat. So for the phonemes is P, E, and N. So that is the phonemes, the building blocks. Okay. Now, infants can distinguish many of the sounds. Some of them as early as 1 month after birth. Okay. Now, they can discriminate sounds they have never heard before, such as phonemes from a foreign language. Okay. Next, we have here, this is how do children acquire language. Uh, so we have here the vocalization at birth. So before birth, again, children or infant really has no language at all. So as adults, it is our task to teach them how to acquire the language. So at first, so birth, they have this vocalization. So we can hear them like that. So at 6 months, they can now know how to babbling rather. Sorry, right? So they now know how to use this. Okay, so bubbling is like extended repetition of certain single syllables, like such as mama, mama, da 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 da, papa, papa, and so on and so forth. So uh all bubbling like is like an experience expectant learning. So as adult, we always say that, no, say mama, mama. So the child mimic us. Okay, so all babies bubble and also all babies gesture. So at first year, so after 1 year, they know how their first words again. So now infants first recognize words, then they begin to comprehend the words. Okay, so, pero there are also infants that spoke at the early age, like 7 months, 8 months, 9 months. So it really depends upon the children. For usually an average is 1 year. So after 2 years, now they have phrases and then the sentences that they know how to storytelling and the grammar. Okay, so as they age goes by, so they acquire language from simple to complex. Okay, from vocalization to grammar. So that is like a step by step process. So also with the aid of the adult again, so we should really do our part as an adult. That is to teach them how to acquire the language. Okay. Now, adults use infant directed speech. Again, adults speak slowly and with exaggerated pitch and loud and elongated pauses between utterances. So this is also known as parentis, motherese, or the child-directed speech. Infant direct speech may attract infants' attention more than adult directed speech because it is slower pace and accentuated changes provide the infant with more salient language cues, and this helps infants perceive the sounds that are fundamental to their language. Okay, now the importance of symbols. Excuse me, class. So children begin using gestures which are symbols shortly before their first birthday. So children, di ba, like come to mama. So we have this gestures, certain gestures like wash your hands like that. So gestures and words convey a message equally. Well, sometimes gestures pave the way for language. Okay. In one study, 50% of all subjects were referred to first by the gesture and about 3 months later by word. Okay, so most likely, children really more comprehend more when the adult or when they use gestures. Okay, so their gestures aid the child to comprehend more that. So word comprehension, we have this fast mapping. This is the um, process of rapidly learning a new word simply from a contrastive use of familiar word and unfamiliar word. So the children's ability to connect new words to familiar words so rapidly that they cannot be considering all possible meaning for the new word. For example, in a preschool classroom, an experimenter drew a child's attention to two blocks, asking the child to get the celadon blocks, not the blue one. So the child inferred that the name of the color of the requested object was celadon. Okay. After a single exposure to this novel word, about half of the children showed some knowledge of it a week later by correctly picking the celadon colored child from a bunch of pink shapes. So it's like that. No? Okay, next we have here the early errors in language. So we have here the word under extension. So this is using a word too narrowly. Okay, and next is the overextension. This is the use of a given word in a broader context than it is appropriate. So this is common between 1 and 3 years of age. So this is more common again than under extension. So toddlers will apply the new word to a group of similar experiences. Like open, the word open, they would relate to this as open the door, peeling the fruit, and also untying the shoelaces. It's like that. So so like children overextend because they do not acquire another suitable word or because they have difficulty of remembering a more suitable word. For example, doggy. So doggy refers to the dog or any four-legged animal. So if the child sees a doggy, so diba, the doggy has a leg four legs. So when the child sees a cat, he or she would also refer the cat as a doggy. So he would technically or he has the tendency to call or to address the cat as doggy when in fact it is a cat. So that is an example of overextension. We also have here over regularization. So these speech errors in which children treat irregular forms of words as if they were regular. So applying to the rules of words that are exceptions to the rule, this leads young children to talk about foods, tools, sleep, sheep, and mouses. Although technically wrong, overregularization is a sign of verbal sophistication because it shows children are applying the rules to grammar. Okay? Okay, so that would end the my presentation today. And I would like you class to have this activity. You would you would have to create an essay on how on like a brief lang, okay, no. So you would look for a journal and create a summary of that journal with regards to the development of language. Okay, like look for a journal not beyond 10 years ago. 10 years ago would be fine. Okay, so that would be 2012. 2012 rather. So look for a journal and create an essay. So that would be all. Okay, see you next time, class. Bye.